The first J-Punk's Prophecy of the Seven episode dropped last week, and I just wanted to go through some of the moments within the video just to kind of focus in on some details, open up some conversation. Maybe you guys saw things I didn't, so that will teach me. So make sure you leave a comment or share with us in the Discord what you've seen in the video itself. But I just thought I'd go through scene by scene and just talk about some of the things that I've seen myself. We start off with the shot of the samurai swords, and we can only assume they belong to the samurai Rex. We don't actually see those swords in the NFT, so it's kind of a guess. They may not, but given that they're so prominent in the shot, as an opening shot, it kind of feels like they're supposed to be important. Then we cut to this very macabre shot of one of the legendary's skulls on a shelf, which is pretty heinous, but boy, it looks good. Man, the detail in that is incredible. Those gold teeth look beautiful. Then the Jurassic Punks album is playing, and Prophecy of the Seven is the name of the album that's playing. And we get our first look at the fireplace, with some interesting little tidbits around that we may not have all the details for. For example, the VR glasses that we've got just in the top right here, obviously we've seen them on some J-Punks, but they don't appear on a legendary. So I'm not entirely sure why they're there, but obviously that will be revealed. Then we've got the control panel from Deus Rex Machina, the axe from the Zombie Rex, and this really interesting handprint down here with what looks to be a thumb and four fingers, which I guess that could be a J-Punk, because they do have 5 digits on their hands. But why the blood-stained handprint? Not entirely sure. And a whole bunch of books, the only titles of which are Jurassic Punks, which we see in several books all over the library, but I haven't been able to find another title. They all just seem to be interesting spines, but no real other words that I've seen. Close up on some of those Jurassic Punks books, and as the camera moves along, we get the Moonlander, which I think is really cool, with the associated sort of radio transmissions going on in the background. And then the control panel in the background that we see is the control panel from one of the legendaries. We then cut to a shot of Napoleon crossing the Alps with a J-Punk Snapchat filter over the top. And another one with the classic painting of the Sphinx in Egypt. As the camera pulls back, we start to see a bit more of what's going on around the fireplace, and we start to see that original scene at the top with the swords, that other scene we had before where we were closer in. Now we can see where the skull is, but we also get to see the helmet of the Samurai Rex, and the axe is from the Zombie Rex, and down here we have the drawing that's tucked into the satchel of this legendary. As the camera pulls back, we start the narration. We see that the narrator is in fact part of the cigar crew, so shout out to the cigar crew. And we get our first look at the painting above the fireplace. We also see, just over to the left-hand side, we see the crown or the headpiece that's on the Zombie Rex as well. And our first look at what appears to be a globe of multiverses. Then we get a close-up of the artwork, which is, as it goes on to tell us, Earth number 1, the first to fall. Maybe Earth is an NFT. Then we meet our narrator face to face. Great detail. Love the top hat. Love the voice. The voice on this guy is awesome. Then a side shot with a lovely shot of the OG eye and that great skin texture, which is amazing. And this really interesting negative space shot, which one of my favorite shots in filmmaking. And one of the things I did was just look in the shadows, and what we can see is the clock that we will see later on, the grandfather clock, just out of the library in the hallway. I'm not quite sure which piece of art this is on the wall. And we've got a chandelier just next to us as we peer down from above into the scene. Then we see the pinboard with our lovely skeleton Rex, of whose skull is has been detached. Redacted subjects, which kind of looks like the devil, Pippi Longstockings, Big Bird from Sesame Street. But we do get a look at what looks to be like Beta Rex over here, which I think is really funny. And our first look at raptors. This shot I love because we get to see what he's drinking, fossil fuel. And our metaverse where the J-Punks survived. Great shot on the ground here of the lace-ups that he's got, that he's wearing with his suit. Obviously very fashion conscious. Interesting, this little planetary thing going on in the background. I'm not quite sure what that is yet. I haven't seen it anywhere else, I don't think. So it'd be interesting to know if that turns into anything. And the Legendary 7 novel that he sits down to read. And what has this guy been doing? Ripping out pages and chucking them in the fireplace? Dude, clean up after yourself. It's proof that the glasses fit very snugly on these guys. They can literally bend over and point their noses at the ground and the glasses don't fall off. So shout out to the 6,000 J-Punks with glasses. It's okay, guys. They're not going to fall off. I'm not sure what that bloodstain is. It doesn't really get talked about, but another great shot of how messy this guy's lounge is. Obviously he's not married. And then the first look into the novel itself. And the text that I've looked at, I can't seem to read any of it. It does seem to be of another language. The only thing I recognized, all the names of these creatures as they evolved, can't really read any of them except for J-Pank. I'm not quite sure what this language is. Perhaps we have some linguists in the crowd who can explain more of that. And we start to look at some of these close-ups. Talking about the wheel, talking about their advancements. Good to see that the J-Punks, some J-Punks were more equal than others and got a turn. Maybe they all took turns at being fed grapes. Who knows? Love the colouring of this one. Great. Also confirmed is the interstellar travel. So that's good. That might lead to some openings in the lore. This crazy thing, I wasn't sure what I was looking at when I first saw it. Thought maybe it had been some kind of particle teleportation. But it definitely looks like there was a creature and they got obliterated by this machine on legs. So that skeleton's been torn in half, so not so nice for that guy anyway. I thought originally this might have been eyes, but as we go on we find out that we're actually talking science, so it's obviously the splitting of cells and how they created humans for their own amusement and put them in Sapien Park, who ran away and were helped out by this guy. Now, community's been wondering who this guy might be, so if you have any ideas or potentially images of the J-Punk you think it is, I think it might be my obsidian guy, or it could be a lava Rex. It doesn't look like he's got a hat or glasses on though, so definitely narrows it down to only a few. Whoever it was obviously gave them some ideas of where to go to unleash the power of the depths, which obviously didn't do too much for this guy, but it did unleash, and it looks to be like they're being sent to different parts of the globe. So maybe the story goes into the legendaries being dispersed around the surface of the earth and all potentially coming together. And as the legendaries arrived, all the light changes. Not sure what that is in reference to. Here's the shot of the clock with our bloody handprint, but what's interesting is that it's the left hand. So whoever it was got blood on both hands and is wandering around the house, leaving it in obscure places. Then we kind of pull back from our library scene, and the legendaries. We get our first look at the legendaries. Sadly, with the camera motion, not a single frame is actually still. So there's a little bit of motion blur in each one of these, but they look so good. That rendering is incredible. He might be my favorite. I haven't decided yet. As we pull back down the hallway, we can see some other art on the wall, but I haven't yet been able to figure out what that is. No, there's something on the wall there. And then we cut to this great little thing here, which really only needs the addition of a Millennium Falcon to really complete the picture. And that's the end. So that's episode 1. Did you guys see anything that I missed? Have you got any ideas, theories on some of the things I brought up? Make sure you share them in the Discord. Let's get the conversation going. Let's talk about some of these details and see if we can figure out what's happening next.